Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope and pray all of you are keeping well, dear girls. I hope Ramadan is progressing well in your lives, inshallah. May it bring us lots of barakah in our lives. May we be amongst those who really strive hard. May Allah make us amongst those, Ya Rab, who really strive hard, who put our best effort in making Allah happy. And ask for all the forgiveness, ask for the forgiveness of all our bad deeds, all our evil deeds, and may Allah count us amongst those who are forgiven, and as a result, whose names are written for Jannah, and who are relieved and sort of from the fire of Jahannam. Allah Ta'ala हमें उन लोगों में शामिल कर दे जिनको माफ़ कर दे by the end of Ramadan, और हमें उसकी जन्नत के लायक बना दे और उसकी आग से पनाह नसीब कर दे. आमीन आमीन. हमारे गर्दनों को उसकी आग से छुटकारा, जहन्नम की आग से छुटकारा नसीब कर दे. आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन. अच्छा, तो हम जो हैं जो आइडियल पर्सनालिटीज़ हैं, कुरानिक आइडियल पर्सनालिटीज़, उनको हम देख रहे हैं कि अल्लाह सुब्हानहु व तआला ने has mentioned different ladies in the Quran at different points. Sort of most of their names are not mentioned by their names, but they are talked about. So today we are going to talk about Sarah rahimahullah, Sayyida Sarah. When the story of Sarah rahimahullah comes to our mind, it's a story. The story begins in a very ideal, beautiful manner where a man of great caliber, बहुत ही समझदार, बहुत ही काबिल इंसान, जिनकी शादी एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत, हसीन, खूबसीरत औरत से होती है, और वो खुशियों के साथ अपने घरों में अपनी ज़िंदगियां गुजार रहे होते हैं, जिसके बाद फिर अचानक उनकी ज़िंदगी में एक अजीम ज़लज़ला आता है. And that's the story of Ibrahim and Sarah, Ibrahim alayhi salam and Sarah radiallahu ta'ala anha. Now if we look at who was Sarah, Sayyida Sarah, she was a daughter from a very she was a daughter of from an elite family, Muazzaz Khandan se thi wo, and she was extremely beautiful, amongst the most beautiful and attractive women on this earth. But not just that. Why did Ibrahim alayhi salam marry her? Did he marry her for her beauty? Or he was always a man with great caliber, with great insight towards what was happening around him and everything. So he wouldn't have just fallen for beauty. He married her because she had with her beauty, she had a great, beautiful character too. And this is what we need to think about, that Allah has not given us any capability over how He created us, but He has blessed us with the capabilities that we can become beautiful personalities. We can become those girls who have excellent character, beautiful ikhlaq, जिनके किरदार हसीन हो, जिनके ताल्लुक़ात जो अपने मामलात करें तो हसीन तौर पर करें, बेहतरीन अंदाज में करें. इस पर हम कुदरत रखते हैं. She was very honest and person, or that was the reason, and that was a great match between Ibrahim alayhi salam and Sayyida Sarah. Now what does Sarah mean? The one who brings happiness. So let's see how sort of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed Ibrahim alayhi salam's life with Sarah rahimahullah. Now sort of both of them, sort of Sarah rahimahullah believed in the prophethood of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So the foundation was laid from day one on with faith. They had in their foundation, in the love of their marriage, they had strong iman on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they were very loyal to each other. They in good times and bad times, and till death, maut ki khadi tak, she was always a companion, a loyal companion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Now, Ibrahim, we know about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, that how he was forced to leave his nation, his country in Iraq, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to go towards Palestine. He sort of came to Egypt, and over there, at that time, there ruled a tyrant king. Now think about, before we progress, let's think about Sarah and Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam was from an elite family too, and Sarah rahimahullah was no less. So both of them left their luxuries, their beloved homes and beloved families, their loving parents, and all the wealth and happiness that they had in their own comfort zones. They left all those things. क्यों इन्होंने ये सब कुछ छोड़ा? सिर्फ अल्लाह के लिए, कि उस मुल्क में अल्लाह का नाम लेना और अल्लाह के अहकाम पे अमल करना was not possible for them. So where did they go then? They ended up being in Egypt. And over there ruled a tyrant king. Now, this tyrant king was one of those who would sort of take all the beautiful women in his possession. And when Ibrahim alayhi salam entered Egypt with his wife Sarah, Sayyida Sarah rahimahullah, his men informed the king's men informed him that there has come in our locality, in our country, a woman of great attraction and beauty. So he said, okay, go and find out who's the man with him. In his country, the rule was that if with this beautiful woman, if there was a man who was her husband, they would kill him so that they can easily grab the woman and keep her. Now, of course, these men had their own sort of desires to get from the king what they wanted, so they sort of informed him of such things. Now they asked Ibrahim alayhi salam, who is this woman to you? And he said that she is my sister. Now how come was she his sister? Can a prophet ever lie? The reality was that he said to Sarah rahimahullah that on the face of this earth only you and me are mu'mineen, and the rest, the whole of the humanity was non-believers. So we are in belief, we are brothers and sisters to each other. So since Ibrahim alayhi salam had the wahi or inspiration, that he was informed that these people will sort of kill him if they find out that he is the husband. So he used this trick. Now, and there was no falsehood in that, because they were brothers and sisters in faith. Now, sort of, they took Sarah rahimahullah to the king, and although Ibrahim alayhi salam, sort of, he had to let her go, because of course there were only two, and then there was this whole army of the king present there, so he didn't have much choice. So he let her go, having complete faith in Allah, that Allah will look after her, number one, and knowing that how trustworthy and his wife Sarah, Sayyida Sarah, was, and he prayed behind her, and you can imagine him being sort of a prophet, how much he prayed for others, how much he would have prayed for his own wife. So when they he allowed her to, the army took her, and she ended up in the palace of the king. Now when the king approached her, with his ill wishes. Sarah, rahimahullah, you can imagine, she is not any woman with weak iman like ours. She was when we need to have this strong iman like she did. Now she was in a state where she had no power, and she was in the custody of this king. Whatever he would do, she had nothing to protect her. But she knew that there is a king above this, the king of this Egypt, the country Egypt. He knew that the king of the universe has always had all the authority. इस मालिकुल मुल्क, हमारी दुनिया कायनात के मालिक और बादशाह के पास पूरी ताकत है कि वो जिसकी चाहे जैसे मदद करे और जिसको चाहे जैसे सपोर्ट करे. तो उस वक्त उन्होंने जब वो बादशाह सईदा सारा की तरफ बढ़ने लगा तो उन्होंने अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला से गिड़गिड़ा कर दुआ की. जैसे हदीस बुखारी की हदीस रिवायत है कि it is narrated from Bukhari that she did wudu and prayed and started doing du'as that, oh Allah, you know that I believe in you, that you are there who is my creator, and I believe in you that you should be the one who should be worshipped and your laws should be implemented. So I beg to you, and you know the reality. What's the reality about me? That I've always kept myself pure for my husband, and I have guarded my honor and chastity and my body and from everyone except my husband. So उन्होंने अपने उन बहुत ही मुश्किल लम्हात में उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने अल्लाह से रुजू किया और उन्होंने गिड़गिड़ा कर अल्लाह से दुआ की कि अल्लाह आप मेरी हिफाजत करें. अगर आपको पता कि मैं आपके ईमान लाई हूँ और आपको पता है कि मैंने हमेशा अपनी हिफाजत की है, तो प्यारी बच्चियों, प्यारी बेटियों, हमने रुक के ये सोचना है. We really need to think hard. How much do we protect ourselves? Are we protecting ourselves the way yours and my Lord have asked us to do? Or are we neglecting some things? Are we sort of ignoring few things, thinking that it's way too difficult? Sarah rahimahullah obeyed Allah when it was not always too easy, even in living in her own country in Iraq. And in good times as well, when she was alone with her husband, and they were all they were safe. So Allah protected her in her difficult times. So at this point, when she prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed a miracle. Now, what did Allah do? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala paralyzed this man, or according to some narrations, he got paralyzed and he couldn't move. According to another, he started shaking unintentionally, like uncontrollably, और वो थरथराने लगा, कांपने लगा बादशाह. And then he said, she made du'as again to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to Allah protect him, like sort of Allah seize him, get him back to his origin. Otherwise, these people will think that I have killed him. If he dies like that, people will kill me as a result, because they will think that I've killed him. So Allah sort of don't let him die. So he recovered. Once he recovered and regained his power, he started proceeding towards her again. And again, she did wudu and prayed and sought refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and asked Allah for his protection in the same manner. And this happened twice or three times. After the last time, the king realized that this is no common woman. This is a woman of great power. She has some supernatural power that the king, being the king of the whole country, didn't possess. So at that point, what did he do? He said, who did you bring to me? Take her away from here. Take her away from my palace. She's a Satan. She is a sorceress. She is a witch. She has some special powers and she has inflicted me. Take her away and give her Hajar as well, so that give her as a gift, so that she doesn't turn around and put some magical spells on me and sort of I get inflicted again. But those were no magical words. Those were pure du'as of a pure soul that came from the depth of her heart. So Allah fulfilled the promise. Allah showed her and Ibrahim alayhi salam that He protected her completely, fully, and she returned to her husband in complete safety. And she said, when Ibrahim alayhi salam asked her, how did the matter go? And she said, Allah protected me and gave me this girl as well, Hajra rahimahullah. Now, and sort of it's said that Sarah rahimahullah treated Hajra with absolute dignity and respect. At this point again, my beloved girls, we need to think that how do we treat those whom we consider lower than ourselves? If we have maid servants, how do we treat her? How do we talk to her? What sort of attitude do we have with them? And then although they were such an ideal couple, but Allah chose not to give them a child. And Ibrahim alayhi salam prayed and prayed and prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was 80 years old and he didn't have a baby. He didn't have a child. So then Sayyidah Sarah decided that and sort of advised Ibrahim alayhi salam to marry Hajra rahimahullah. So when they got married, Allah blessed them with Ismail alayhi salam. And that was, of course, very difficult for Sarah rahimahullah, who had been married with Ibrahim alayhi salam for 80 or some years, and she didn't have a baby. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered, and Allah knew how pure soul Sarah rahimahullah was. So Allah ordered Ibrahim alayhi salam. Of course, there was a legacy to be created from Hajar rahimahullah that you will hear about in the next durus. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered Ibrahim alayhi salam to take Hajar rahimahullah away to the land of Arab, to Mecca. And once Ibrahim alayhi salam returned to Sarah rahimahullah, the angels came with the glad tidings, इस खुशखबरी के साथ कि अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला आपको एक बेटे की, एक आलिम फाजिल बेटे की खुशखबरी सुनाते हैं कि अल्लाह हाजर रहमहुल्लाह, as soon as Sarah rahimahullah heard कि यानी उनको इतनी बड़ी उम्र में, जबकि she never had a baby before, and neither, like, her husband had become so old, she was old, and then she was barren, like she didn't have a child before, and how can they have a baby at this point in their life? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said everything is possible for him, and you are amongst those who believe that in Allah's powers, don't you? So, and what was the quality that we find out about Sarah rahimahullah at this point? That how welcoming she was when she didn't know these were angels, those who came with good tidings. She thought they were just normal human beings, but she still was such a great host with her husband for those guests. So this is where we end our story, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them, Ibrahim alayhi salam and Sarah, with a beautiful son called Ishaq. And she reached the age when Ishaq alayhi salam got married and had Yaqub alayhi salam, because that was the good tiding Allah gave to them through the angels. So, subhanAllah, Allah always fulfills His promise that when you sort of make yourself purely and commit yourself pure for Allah, commit yourself fully to Allah, Allah will bless you in this world, in this dunya, and the next in akhirah too. So this is how we end, that if we have full faith in Allah and we purify ourselves and we keep ourselves honor our chastity and honor our bodies and our souls, Allah will look after us and Allah will protect us and Allah will give us good in this both worlds. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.